Today, we are delving into the dynamic world of Bitcoin development, observing its impact on the financial landscape. Lyn Alden, a renowned financial analyst, noted in one of the interviews the unique ability of Bitcoin to surpass financial boundaries, fundamentally contradicting existing monetary policies. This decentralization is no longer just a theoretical concept, but a reality that changes our understanding of money and our interaction with it. Over the past 15 years, we have witnessed Bitcoin strengthening more than once as it recovered from significant periods of price drops and gained increasing interest from parties such as individual investors and companies. But what does this mean for us, whether as investors or curious onlookers of the crypto market growth? Bitcoin signals a shift in the financial paradigm, where decentralization and digital currencies are gaining more legitimacy and strength. In today's video, we will explore how Bitcoin's journey reflects the early days of development of this exceptional technology, which has become an integral part of our lives. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to not miss new content and also to like this video. Now, let's hear Lyn Alden's insights on Bitcoin. I don't know of any other asset whose price would drop by 75 or 80%, and I'm talking about Bitcoin here. It jumped to new highs and just kept growing, even more so in a long-term bull market. People began to understand what Bitcoin is, and correspondingly, at this moment, most of them have awakened the desire to hold part of their assets in Bitcoin and create businesses in it. So we essentially see the process of forming a new currency, systems in a rather unusual way. It seems like I'm watching the development of the internet. My long-term prognosis for the entire cryptocurrency industry, which is working to increase liquidity and market capitalization under conditions of volatility. The larger and more liquid the network becomes, the lower its volatility should be. When you are in the early stages of any new venture, it is essentially an option where you bet on whether this venture will succeed or not, whether it will grow tenfold or fail for sure. Therefore, any small change affecting the probability of success or failure can radically change the situation at that moment. If Bitcoin lasts 30 or 40 years, it may evolve towards an adjustable market, which appears more stable. At this moment, we are witnessing the formation of a new currency, and along the way, various weaknesses or risks that the world of cryptocurrencies faces are being scrutinized. We survived the MIT hack, went through various trials like the mining ban in China, and attempts to centralize the network through block size increases. The cryptocurrency has overcome all these tests and remains in service. Currently, one of the biggest challenges for the world of cryptocurrencies is the US government, which is trying to combat privacy. It seems they oppose the idea that people can have money they can't control. This is the next testing phase Bitcoin must face. Until no one can break it, it will likely continue to decentralize and capture a significant market share of other assets by 2030. The bubbles that exist in the cryptocurrency years arise because these assets are limited to bank transfers, which are tightly controlled by authorities. Now, the internet is challenging for government agencies to control regarding information flow, and there's always a cat and mouse game happening. The Bitcoin network is constantly improving to make its data harder to trace. However, until the world itself doesn't split into two internets or something similar, it's quite possible that Bitcoin will continue to spread across all parts of these networks, making it challenging for authorities to deal with. And those who could really do that, for example, the United States cannot do so because of their own laws. For instance, in the 90s, Phil Zimmermann invented the PGP software based on open source cryptography. The source code didn't sit well with the government, which led to a criminal case against him for allegedly exporting weapons. So, Phil Zimmermann wrote the source code in a book and published, claiming protection under the First Amendment thanks to this law. The code became just a set of numbers in a book, and the United States backed off because of it. The government had to change laws regarding things like cryptography after people began printing t-shirts with this code and the statement that this shirt is dangerous ammunition. I believe this is a great way to show that some laws simply don't make sense. The government is essentially trying to restrict information created by someone and can be free. Moments of sharing circulate in this camp where to ban Bitcoin, you need to inhibit a person's ability to remember 12 words or use free software. Thus, the United States has many impediments, checks, and balances that can prevent them from fighting against Bitcoin. After a new speaker appeared in the US House of Representatives, a white paper on Bitcoin was released on the Congress website simply because he likes Bitcoin and the idea of cryptocurrencies. After acting for several weeks, the functions of the Speaker of the House were changed, but in reality, a white paper on Bitcoin is now published in Congress, and many senators, representatives, and presidential candidates advocate for Bitcoins. It's quite challenging if someone doesn't find a way to centralize it, but I think Bitcoin Bitcoin is almost impossible to become a bubble unless you bubble the internet itself. As the future of Bitcoin continues to unfold, it becomes clear that its path is far from concluded. The volatility beyond what we are seeing today is very similar to the early stages of development of any revolutionary technology, like the development of Bitcoin. We can expect a reduction in volatility and the stabilization of its position in the financial market. The transformation from a high-risk, high-profit startup into a more stable and established asset is the most important stage of evolution. Bitcoin alone does not have issues with sharing, especially from the perspective of government regulation. Influential entities like the United States are trying to strike a balance between regulation and innovation. An important aspect of this discussion is the stance on the issue of self-storage and confidentiality of transactions using Bitcoin, which is intriguing. This parallels historical examples, for instance, the case of Phil Zimmermann and PGP encryption, where innovation clashed with regulators. Remember that Bitcoin is not just a currency, but a statement of future financial autonomy. If the currency doesn't function properly, things like Bitcoin and illiquid currencies are becoming an alternative for many people because they allow you to bypass any financial limits that exist. Now, the acceptance threshold for mining or cryptocurrency has become higher for governments, as the world needed a ledger that would provide settlements for transactions, and the government had the opportunity to centralize everything. If you look at the history of money in the last 200 years, in most cases, an increase in the efficiency of money circulation occurred due to centralization. They said, yes, we can enhance the effectiveness of this currency. It's in a jar, so we can make it more efficient by combining all these banks into superorganisms. Being decentralized, Bitcoin truly breaks this trend. It's essentially a technology aimed against central banks. But again, it's in its infancy, undergoing tests. It doesn't have real liquidity like the dollar or euro system. So it's just a growing disruptor aimed at actors that make what it does unnecessary, only if it doesn't reach new technologies on a large scale, including currencies. We can compete with countries like Lebanon or Argentina by stating that if you mismanage your money, people will start using another currency. Exactly. So Bitcoin represents a different paradigm shift from the historical trend of centralization in banking systems. And this shift is not just technical, it's literally cultural and an economic revolution. As Bitcoin and similar technologies develop, they are viable as an alternative to weaker currencies that can impact countries like Lebanon or Argentina, solving not only economic but also technological and financial issues. The path to Bitcoin's sovereignty and stability will become a formidable rival to traditional currencies. This is the story of innovation persistence, and perhaps most importantly, it's the collective belief in decentralized finances and what it will be. Bitcoin is our alternative currency. Time is the main currency of our future. I'll be very interested to read your comments below this video, and thank you for watching.